Hey everybody, welcome to September 1st, 2025. It's Labor Day. Happy Labor Day, everybody. We are gonna share the latest data for San Luis Obispo County real estate right now. The data just dropped. We get this imported data every single month on the 1st. This shows what's happening in San Luis Obispo County, so check this out. Where are we today? So if we look at the median sales price, going back to 2020 to today, look how much it's climbed. It's climbed quite a bit. And we actually just hit, we're at $910,000 for the median sales price for a house in San Luis Obispo County. Now this takes in everything from condos and manufactured homes to single family, stick builds, like all that data is put into this average here. And so $910,000, that's what you can expect on average for the median price home in our area today. America, it's like 400,000. We're basically double what the median sales price is just here in our lovely county. And prices, look at this. Last couple months, they were kind of trending down. People felt the pain. The interest rates were high. But the last 2 months, prices have rebounded. And we're actually up now 4% year over year. And it was actually down year over year in the last 2 months. So what are we seeing? We are seeing recovery. We're seeing rebound. And where this is happening, I mean, you can see what inventory has been doing. We'll look at that next. Active listings. So how many houses are actually on the market in San Luis Obispo County right now? So if we look back to January 2020, inventory was over 1,000 houses, 1,000 options for buyers to go shopping. But look what happened during COVID, pandemic. Inventory dried up. We were down to 361 houses in December of 2021. That was the lowest inventory we've had in a very long time. Now, inventory started climbing, especially when rates hit up to 7%. Remember in 2022, rates jumped. Well, inventory started to pick back up. However, people still had to buy and sell, and the inventory dried up because people were now rate locked. They didn't want to list and sell their homes. So inventory actually dried up and stayed low for the last several years. And slowly we've started to climb back up 500, 600, 700. Things dropped off in the winter as they seasonally will do. And now they're up to 868 houses. So there are actually more housing options than there were 3-4 years ago. We're starting to recover, rebound. And so that's partially why those prices came down, is because inventory had increased and the demand was still there. People had to buy and people wanted to buy homes. So we're actually up 14.1% year over year. However, this is kind of plateaued, and we thought, it is trending up, which is the case, but it's not where it used to be. It's not at 1,000 houses. We're still 200 shy of that number, which would be more of like the normal type market. We are trending back. Okay, buyer seller market. Pop quiz. Are we in a buyer's market or a seller's market? The media will make you think we're in a buyer's market. Now, let's look at the data. So if we look at the actual month's supply, this indicates whether or not we're in a buyer market or seller market. 6 months or more supply equals buyer's market. 6 months or less supply equals seller's market. So we've been in a seller's market for the last 5 years, and we're trending back more towards a buyer market, but we still only have 4.1 months supply. That means if no houses are listed, it would take 4.1 months before all of the houses were purchased. So this metric tracks for us the absorption rate. It tracks how much demand there is versus how much supply there is, because we know price is dictated by supply and demand. Now, if we go back and look at the max history, back to like 08, this is when we first started tracking this data through our MLS, we can see there was 11 months supply, 14 months supply. In January, June of 2008, there was 14 months supply. That means it would take over a year for all the listings on the market to be acquired, to be bought up. And so because of that, that was a strong buyer's market. A lot of sellers, but nobody could afford to buy. Nobody wanted to buy. Today, where we are and where we've been the last decade and a half, so you look at this. Month supply dipped and it shifted from buyer market to a seller market in 2012, and it stayed a seller's market for the last decade and a half, getting down critically low to January 2021. We only had 1 month's supply. Boom, everything sold in 30 days. It was gone, off the market. It was fast and furious, crazy time. Now, things have been trending back up, and today we're at 4.1 months supply. So we aren't even close to the 6-month supply line, which is right here. See that? We still need to get back up there. Now, what we are feeling and seeing is it's become more buyer friendly. This is very interesting because the last few years, with the seller supply being so low and demand being so high, buyers are having to do crazy things to get their offers accepted. Multiple, offer situations would result in massively overpaying from the ask price. You might have to come up $50,000, $100,000, $120,000 over the asking price to get your offer accepted. And then there was little to no chance of you getting the seller to do any repairs or concessions on that property because, hey, I've got like 5 backup offers. Take it or leave it. My house, yeah, it's broken, but what else are you going to do? You don't have any other options. So that being said, what we had was a strong seller's market, and the last few years, it started to shift more towards a buyer market, but it's not quite there yet. So why does this matter? Yeah, why does any of this matter at all? So let's go back to the 5-year trend and look at days on market. How long is it taking to sell homes? Back in COVID, it was up to 47 days on market. Then it's been underneath like 10 days on market. A lot of the time, it peaked up to 30 in winter of 2023. And then right now, we're only like 32 days on market, a little bit earlier. But now we're at 22 days on market. So 3 weeks. That's about it. It takes about 3 weeks for listings on average to sell in San Luis Obispo County. What does this mean? Well, if you're a buyer and you're interested in buying homes, things are still moving relatively quickly. It has slowed down from where it was several years ago, so you do have a little bit more time to maybe get a second look or get a second quote from your lender. But the reality is 3 weeks is not a whole lot of time in the real estate world. So you want to make sure you have your pre-approvals ready to go before you see property. You know what your payments are going to be, your down payment and closing costs needs are going to be. So that way, when you find the perfect place, you're able to make an offer with confidence. Now, are you going to get, 100K below asking? Not quite. Not quite. Today, on average, homes are selling for 97.3% of the asking price in our area. And that's from the original ask price. So basically, you can get maybe a 2 or 3% discount. However, you're not getting like 100, 200,000 below asking. So if that's what you're hoping for, it just doesn't happen. Unless the property is grossly overpriced and in serious disrepair and has a highly motivated seller. Sometimes you can still get properties tied up for significantly below asking, but on average across the board, 97.3 is the latest data. So, and then shows to contract. So how many showings is it taking before a listing goes under contract? Right now, data shows 6 showings, and then on average you get an offer or so, and you go under contract. So it used to be down to like 4. So it does take a little bit more showings right now to get a good buyer to write an offer on your listing. Okay, so that is the market snapshot. Right now, San Luis Obispo County is really dynamic. Things have fluctuated quite a bit as far as median sales price goes. Days on market, inventory is picked up. What does all this mean? If you're a buyer, more options. If you're a seller and you're looking to trade up or down, more options for you as well. And then with the news that interest rates are coming down, hopefully in September this month, there's going to be some relief that comes into the market as far as affordability goes, which means you'll be able to buy more house. If you're interested in learning more about the market and have a specific question in mind, please leave a comment. We'd love to connect and chat more with you about your real estate goals. And like and follow for more great information like this. Thanks so much.